Hello everybody, thank you for joining me today. We're talking about language teaching today. We'll be reviewing a few of the common ways to go about it and how to choose the right methods or combination of methods. The communicative approach considers language in a holistic way, meaning cultural and social elements are considered as well as vocabulary and grammar. For instance, the teacher might ask students to find out personal information about their neighbor, which involves meaningful conversation. Teachers may also use authentic materials such as newspapers and movies in the target language. It is considered an approach instead of a method, so it can be used with different methods of instruction. It's a great way to actually learn a language, but due to the individual nature of each student's experience, it's hard to use formal assessment. In community language learning, the teacher takes into account the stress and worry that some people feel learning a new language and work to disassociate the fear of making mistakes from the learning process. It involves translations and recording conversation between students where the teacher takes the role of a counselor. The lesson consists of recording and analyzing conversations that the students create and the teacher translates. Teachers who use this method need to find a balance between letting students flounder and helping too much. This one is great if you want to give the students more freedom. The grammar translation method is a very early method used mostly to teach the classical languages. The focus is not on fluency, but on vocabulary and grammar. Since old school foreign languages were mostly meant for mental gymnastics rather than talking with native speakers, the ability to speak was not considered important. The material is taught in the student's native language, and reading aloud is as close as they get to speaking the target language. This method is rather unpopular for its rigidity and lack of focus on fluency, but it can be useful to incorporate with other methods if more emphasis on grammar or vocabulary is needed. It is not even necessary that the teachers speak the target language. The direct method was created in the late 1880s in response to the rather stiff grammar translation method. The idea behind it is to learn the second language in the same way as you learn the first as a baby, by associating the meaning of a word directly to the word. So this method uses a lot of demonstrations, pictures, and realia, and only the target language is spoken in the classroom. No explicit grammar is taught. Students kind of memorize sentence structure through practice, which, though preferable to long hours of memorization, is a bit of overcorrection from the old school. The audiolingual method was created by the United States military and is also known as the tactical method. Just kidding. It focuses on grammatical and phonological structure, especially for speaking and listening. It involves a lot of behavioral training and repetition. Students are drilled until the use of the language is automatic and errors are corrected immediately. Now, it has been discovered that language is not acquired through habit and mistakes are not necessarily bad, but this method is still popular in individual lessons rather than being the main method used. The silent way relies on charts and manipulatives instead of teacher talk. The students develop problem-solving skills by using rods and charts, which are color-coded, with rectangle charts having different phonemes, and fiddle charts, which show all possible spellings for those phonemes. The teacher directs students to use their skills with a pointer. By learning all the pieces of the language individually and making plenty of mistakes, the student eventually learns to manipulate them on his own. The teacher might pick up a rod and say rod. Then when the students repeat the word rod, he will add a red rod, and so on, eventually building up a vocabulary that the students use on their own with phrases like, the blue rod is longer than the red rod. The idea is to allow students to learn things for themselves, but there are some that think that this method lacks communication between student and teacher. Suggestopedia, or desuggestopedia, is used for students who have anxiety about learning a new language and is taught in a calm, peaceful environment. Seating should be comfortable, and the teacher should play soft music such as Baroque, alpha wave study music, or forest sounds. In these lessons, students are asked to be as childlike as possible. They sit in comfortable chairs or lie down on the floor. The teacher dims the lights and reads a text to the students, dramatizing and using intonation at appropriate points so that the students are drawn into the performance and absorb some of the words from the context. This method may not appeal to every student, since the teacher-student relationship here resembles a parent-child relationship, and not everyone is open to being infantilized. But using some of these elements, like a decorated classroom and music, can de-stress learning and make it more enjoyable. Total physical response works on the principle of connecting words with actions. It is meant to mimic the way students learned their first language. For instance, the teacher might say stand or stand up, and stand while she says the word. Students are expected to copy the teacher and need not repeat the word at first. It's great for active students who need an outlet for their energy. It doesn't require an unreasonable amount of preparation from the teacher. It can be hard to include grammar and may become overly repetitive, so this method is best used for beginners and combined with other methods. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe for... Just kidding. Thanks to these websites for providing the information for this presentation.